what I routinely recommend to parents that I think have the knowledge is that they pull their kids out of school, at least pull their kids out of math classes. And, beyond kindergarten is basically okay. But beyond kindergarten, it's already a real problem. And so, whenever I get a letter from a parent that gives me enough information to see that parent has the background to handle it, I definitely recommend homeschooling.
That's true. Dr. Milgram, actually, you recommended to me when I first wrote to you and said, this is what I'm facing here in Spokane Public Schools, and that was your recommendation to me. And we didn't ultimately pull our child out of the public system until she hit high school. But I did pull her out of her math classes, and I did fill that in, and I think that's a really good point, because when you leave a child in a public system that is not working, or any school that's not working, then even if you try to fill in those gaps at home, sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. The child can get confused, and so sometimes the best thing to do really is just pull the child out.
Yeah, and I've seen too many cases where the trouble is that teachers are regarded as authority figures by the kids, and you get this fight with a kid where the kid announces that his teacher has said something different. And he's perfectly right; the teacher has said something different, but the kid won't recognize that you have more authority and more knowledge than the teacher, because that's just a very difficult thing for a young kid to handle.
It's good that there are people who simply don't give up, who continue fighting the battle. And for these superintendents and others who say, we've spent so much, we've got to continue. No, if you're feeding poison to your children, you don't want to continue using that poison supply, even if you've invested a lot of money in buying it. You want to stop doing something that's damaging, and even though it costs money, clean up the damage and do something that's going to be better. So I hope in Alabama you can work out your problems and move forward with what you were doing before, which was far more successful than what you're doing now under Common Core.
In Texas, we just passed sweeping charter school legislation. I was against it in the beginning. Actually, I didn't understand it till this show, really. And I was more against it because I saw the threat from the Gulen schools. But the fact that you've laid this out, it all just makes sense. So we've put in place in Texas these charter schools. We said no to Common Core. Our elected officials can now say that they've, publicly they can say, oh, we're against Common Core, but they've let it in the back door through this charter school legislation.
Absolutely.
To me, the only way past this is at a massive ground game of education to moms and dads, to get them educated on exactly what's happening, because I don't think they, obviously I've been involved in this for a while, and the lights just all went off today for me listening to this show. So is it a massive ground game that is the answer, or how do we stop this?
Well, I think we have to focus, and I think that's the problem. There's so many things going on right now that are really serious, right? If we allow they up there, the elitists, these evil people, they're not really concerned about all the issues all of us are down there. They're concerned about taking away our representative form of government without our knowing. The way they do it is through semantic deception. They're doing it through something that sounds so good to us, school choice. Get the school choice, but Americans are just got to wake up and realize that there's no choice.
That's
in school choice. If the school choice entity, like your religious school or your home school or your private school, if it has tax money, it's controlled. Absolutely every single thing that child learns or is tested on or that your teacher has to teach comes out of my old office in the U.S. Department of Ed. That's the Common Core. And don't let anybody tell you that the Council of Chief State School Officers is not the Department of Education. It is. I used to handle the grants in my office, and I saw these grants. I mean, the one I leaked, Better Education Skills Through Technology, that put the curriculum. People are talking about Common Core now. It's putting software into the schools in 1981. Software, curriculum development. And you know what it said on that piece of paper and why I leaked it? It said, what we, at the federal level, Department of Ed, my office, what we can control and manipulate. And then it said, the task force members, the content of the curriculum. And I leaked it. Now, that's what I want you all to know. You see, once school choice, once private education, religious education, any education, homeschool education takes one penny from any level of tax funding, local, state, or federal. It is totally controlled, And that's what the guys at Rockefeller Center want. That's what Gerstner wants. He wants to bring the whole public school system with its elective system of government down, crash it. So we will have free hand to rule all the choice schools, control all the choice schools, and we've got to control anywhere with charter schools because they don't have an elected board. So if I hope you understand what I'm talking about. You asked me, what do parents go up against? Up against school choice. They go after school choice and taking our elective form of government away from us. Taxation without representation.
That's it right there.